Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, drop your comments and questions for today's guest or myself into the comment box. You'll see me turn my head from time to time, and we'll hopefully answer your questions or read your comments off. My guest today is Kevin Des Chenes. Some of you might know him by Chef Kev D. He is a private chef to the stars, author of Beyond My Chef Coat, event producer, culinary director, winner of multiple Food Network competitions, and so much more. And he's down in Charleston right now, normally based in Rhode Island. So let's bring in Kev.
Hey, guys.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Before I forget about it, happy Thanksgiving. Kev, what's on your plate today other than doing this show?
Tonight I have a private dinner here in Charleston. I'm at the beautiful clubhouse owned by JT, who's a cast member on Southern Charm on Bravo. I did a dinner for him and the cast last year, and ever since I've been coming down to do different dinner parties and pairing dinners and events at this space.
Well, terrific. And you probably, is it a large number of people coming to the event?
It's about 30. So it's a sit down, 3-course, 4-course plated pairing dinner where sometimes it's wine, beer, and cocktails. It's always, we mix it up to keep it fresh. We use a local craft beer, or I work with the guys from Ammunition Wine, so a lot of times we'll pair with they have wine and whiskey, which we'll do quite a bit. So the space holds about 40-ish people, and usually the sweet spot's right about 30.
Terrific. I always like to get into the family background. So tell me more about your family table growing up. Who were your influences? So tell me more. That always fascinates me, what inspires people.
Sure. Like a lot of, I think, young kids, my first kind of food hospitality memories come from my grandparents. My grandmother, who was from Naples, Italy, used to have the Sunday dinners where I'd help her with meatballs and stir in the sauce and grating the Parmesan cheese and all that fun stuff when I was 8, 9, and 10 years old. So those memories of hospitality and people sitting around the table for hours and hours and just eating and eating, and then the coffee comes out, and then they talk so much the next meal is ready and nobody leaves. And that's kind of what I've taken into my career about, the experience and the hospitality, not just the food, obviously, is very important. The wine, the spirits, everything is very important. Service, but it's an overall experience, really not wanting to leave and having a great night. So I extracted that from when I was 9, and fast forward to college, where I went to school for business, but I worked in restaurants the whole time. So I worked my way up through restaurants for 25 years, owning them, executive chef them all over New England, and became a private chef 7 or 8 years ago. And since then, I've been traveling the country doing private dinners and events, and I produced some festivals, and I'm featured at some festivals. So, like here in Charleston, I'm doing a dinner, and 2 nights ago, I was in New York City with Yellowstone Cast and Ammunition Wine and Whiskey doing an event at the Players Club. And then next week I have a 200-person kind of dinner event. So really, it's all over the map, which is fun for me because it keeps it fresh, it keeps it fun, different menu, different people, different produce all the time, where, sometimes when you're in a restaurant, it's a grind and it gets old. So this is fun for me.
Well, you did your due diligence, you put your time in,
Sure.
and got rave reviews. You were doing mostly restaurants in the Boston area, am I correct?
Yeah, I was a chef at Washington Square Tavern in Boston. I owned my own restaurant, which was 156 Bistro up in Burlington, Vermont, and was chef and partner at restaurants in Rhode Island before stepping out into the private chef world, which I felt was like a natural evolution to be able to still do what I love, but have some kind of control over my schedule, my life. I have 3 little ones at home. So we all know if you're a chef in a restaurant, you're gone 6 days a week. You'll see the kids on Monday and then see him again next Sunday
Yeah, they
night.
go,
So
who's that stranger? Who's that
exactly.
stranger,
So
mommy?
it was, I have lots of offers to do restaurants and things like that, but I feel like I've successfully stepped away and beyond that. Thankfully, I get to do guest chef dinners at some of the best restaurants in the country, which I get to work with the staff and the chefs in the front of the house. And so I kind of get my restaurant fix that way, but very happy with being a private chef now.
Um, I saw, I can't remember, it was Instagram or your Facebook page, and I don't know if it was fairly recently. You grew up in Hinsdale, New Hampshire, and you went back to the school there recently. I think it was recently to
Yes.
speak to the students. And tell us a little bit more about that. I know that you like to give back. You do a lot for the children's charities. So tell me more about going back to high school in Hinsdale.
So yeah, a couple months ago, I went back to speak to the entire high school where I grew up in Hinsdale, New Hampshire. We filmed a show called Chronicle, which is it's like a kind of a 60 minutes New Hampshire version. So they did a whole expose and we walked the school halls and we talked about memories. But I got to work. My mother's a teacher there. She's been a teacher for 40 years. And I got to work. She works with special needs students of all kinds. So I was able to go into a classroom and cook with them and do a whole meal. And we sold it and to help raise money for their programs there. And then I went after that and spoke to the whole school just about, my journey and never giving up and don't be afraid to get a no here and there and the importance of hard work and relationships and all that thing, all the stuff that I picked up over the last 30 years as a chef.
Well, you've done a lot of competitions. Have you always been competitive?
Yes, I grew up playing sports my whole life. Small town, New Hampshire. That's what you did. You played basketball. When that was over, you played baseball, and then that went right into soccer. And I just played three sports my whole life. And then beyond high school, basketball and soccer I've played for many, many, many years. So I've always had that competitive spirit. I've done shows like the Great Food Truck Race and Beef Bobby Flay and Chef Wanted and lots of fun stuff. Now I'm kind of more interested in judging and recipes and the whole teaching side of it. Competitions are fun. I'll still do some once in a while, but I'm not really in the market to be doing too many competition shows anymore. But I never say never. I'll probably do a couple more still.
I can't help but notice that I can look at you and tell that you really work out. You look like all muscle. Um, and your dad at some point was into bodybuilding. Was he an inspiration for you to do that, or?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he was a big into martial arts and bodybuilding when he was younger. Growing up in Massachusetts in the 60s, 50s and 60s, when it was all kind of new. But the working outside, I don't play so many sports anymore, but I do get to go to the gym in the morning, which is great for my health and my mental state and all that, and to burn calories. And as we get older, it's important to stay in shape, so I'm trying to stay on top of that.
Well, it's good. I do aqua classes, but I came to the gym a little late, as they would say. But you went to school for business, but I take it the food thing just took over for you. Um, the private chef really opens the door for you, as you said, to manage your own schedule. You have worked with a lot of stars, some maybe a day, maybe some a week. Can you tell us a little bit more about working with celebrities in general?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've worked with people like Tommy Lee Jones and Garth Brooks and Gavin DeGraw, multiple professional athletes, coaches, things like that. And it's fun for me because a lot of times they're just as excited that I show up to a dinner party as I am that they're there as a star. Tommy Lee Jones, I cooked for him and his wife on set for 2 weeks while they were filming a movie, and since then have gone. If they're down in Florida for a couple of days, it's tough for somebody like Tommy Lee Jones to go out and have dinner. So when he's on location, it just makes it so much easier for us to be together and me to cook for them and to us to hang out rather than him trying to go out in public because he just gets bothered quite a bit. And that's been great. I mean, look, I have just as many everyday, ordinary, great blue collar clients that I do their company Christmas party for, and as I do celebrities.
Mm.
So I kind of look at it all the same. It's great to work with celebrities. It adds to the profile of people wanting to book me and things like that, and I consider that a bonus to what I do. If I get a call, like I said, I was just with Kelly Riley, who plays Beth Dutton on Yellowstone in New York City. She's become a partner with the wine and whiskey company that I work with, so we're going to be doing multiple events all over the country with her. So that's kind of really exciting because, you know, it's like the #1 show in the world right now. It's kind of like in the zeitgeist. So for me to be a part of that in some way makes it extra special fun.
Now you're saying this Bond Chefs, or is that Bond Chefs something different?
Bond Chefs is a company that I work with. I work with multiple kind of companies like that will reach out to me with a client that wants a dinner party or an event.
Okay.
And a lot of times I can do it. Most other times I have chefs that can do it. I do have been in the business for 30 years, a very thick Rolodex of chef friends all over the country. So if it's not something that I can do myself, then I'll reach out to, you know, Chef Alex in Nashville or Chef Michelle up in the Hudson Valley, New York, or wherever they may need a chef and throw it their way. So it's important as a private chef to have multiple streams of leads to be able to book and do as many kind of events as you can.
You mentioned Nashville. You do the Toast in Nashville. Have you done it for multiple years or?
Yeah, so that's one that I am a producer on. It's myself and a partner of mine, and we just did the second annual in the spring, and it was Robert Irvine, it was Rocco DeSpirito, it was myself and Chef Manish Chauhan, and a bunch of great local and national brands. And it's in the Hutton Hotel, which has a beautiful, it is Nashville, the Music City, so it has a beautiful listening room that fits about 300 people with a beautiful stage. And so we put a chef stage up there, and we all did demos, and people would walk around tasting whiskeys and wines and local restaurants as chefs were kind of cooking on stage and doing demos. And we did pairing dinners at Evelyn's, and we did a beautiful Bloody Mary brunch at Chauhan Ale House, which is right around the corner. So I love Nashville. It's a great energy, great food town. So Toast Nashville, third annual one will probably be in March or April next year.
So what other festivals do you produce and which ones are coming up?
So I'm the culinary director at Newport Mansions Wine and Food, which is in Newport, Rhode Island, which is at Rosecliff Mansion and the Elms and all these beautiful locations. And this year we had Jacques Pepin. Next year it's the 20th anniversary. We have tons of great chefs and events, a connoisseur's dinner and a vintner's dinner and a tasting tent with 30 vendors and restaurants, and there's seminars and jazz brunches and things going on the whole week. So I was always a featured chef there, and I would do a demo or a cookbook signing or things like that. And they kind of saw me traveling around and doing South Beach Food and Wine and doing LA, whatever. So they said, well, you're based here. Why don't you come as the culinary director? So 3 years in a row, I've been the culinary director, working on my fourth. So that's a big one that we work on year round with wineries and restaurants. And there's a whole restaurant program that does wine pairing dinners, and you know, just getting all the logistics together. The week of is a complete melee, but we work really hard year round to, once we get up to that point, to make everything go smoothly. So that's a great one. South Beach Wine and Food, which is in February. That is 150 events over the course of the week, all over Southern Florida, from Fort Lauderdale all the way down. I do wine and whiskey with Michael Simon. This year I'm doing tacos and tequila with Aaron Sanchez. And then we do, usually I'll try to do a private dinner while I'm down there. That's a really fun one. Tacos and tequila is like 5,000 people on the beach. It's crazy, but you know, the other one's a small one. So, and then I'm here in Charleston at the beginning of March for Charleston Wine and Food, which is just an amazing event. I'm doing a wine event called Good Vines Only, and then a seafood style called Big Shrimpin', and then there's the grand tasting with demos and stuff like that. So those are a couple that are coming up.
I have to say, in a small way, I can appreciate the melee. For a couple years, I handled the kitchen for the Washington Wine and Food at National Harbor, and there was no running water, so the water was in trash cans, and we had coffee makers to boil the water. I got there and I had the food, but the refrigeration truck wasn't there, and you got to think quick and go do. And I went, oh, Wolfgang Puck has something here. Oh, I remember this chef did this. So I called in Washington, they let me in, and I got it in. So there's more than one crisis, and it's handling it. So kudos to you. I'm not doing them anymore. I'm done.
Just constantly working solutions and figuring things out as you go. And what are we going to do? Okay, slide it over here. Coolers down, grab some ice, whatever it may be. But there's a lot of that, and that's part of being a chef running a restaurant, right? Those things happen all the time. Dishwasher breaks, hostess doesn't show up, power goes out, stuff happens all the time. So that 25 years in restaurants really got me ready to do these off-site situations where it's just problem solving and all about solutions.
Absolutely. Do you have a culinary hero? And have you worked with them?
I tell you what, I've worked with tons and tons of great chefs and celebrity chefs, and Gordon Ramsay and Robert Irvine and Bobby Flay and all those guys. But this past year, I was able to MC an event for Jacques Pepin, and this guy is on a different level in the stratosphere. He has fans of a slightly older generation that were throwing books at him and just yelling out questions. We're just like one of the original rock stars in what we do, because back when he started, even back when I started, it wasn't a situation where the chef was the rock star. There was a few shows on TV that people would do recipes and things like that, but it wasn't kind of like it is now. And as far as my first like food TV chef, celebrity chef memories, Emeril Lagasse had that first show that I remember that was a live studio audience. There was a band, people were drinking cocktails. There were 6 or 7 people sitting at the bar trying all the food that he made. It was like a party. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I mean, I love doing the morning shows where I sit there and do a recipe and it's fun, but that live event style feel was the first time it kind of like, wow.
The interaction.
Yeah.
The interaction. And this is 2025 will be Jacques Chapin's 90th birthday.
Yes.
So I'm going to say to people, check, because they're doing multiple events all around the country with Jacques.
Yes, and I will be doing one of them. I'll be doing one of the 90 for 90 at a venue in Rhode Island. And the date we're still trying to figure out, but we've already secured a location and a couple great chefs, and that's going to be coming on the schedule soon.
I have, let's see if I can make it funny. A late girlfriend of mine was a producer at the local PBS, and Jacques had come in to do a special. She took him to one of the leading restaurants, but for whatever reason, they were waiting for the table. And they sent a waiter out, and Jacques said to him, he says, what kind of wines do you have? And the guy says, white and red. So just one of those stories that lingers back in my memory.
Sure. Yeah, I emceed the question, kind of, it was like a Sunday conversation with him and his daughter. And he was just so quick-witted and had so many great stories that people were hanging on his every word. And one of the people asked, what are your advice to live a long, happy, healthy life? And he said, more wine, more pasta. The place went nuts. Simple as that. And that's really true.
Yeah. Let's see. Your grandmother was Italian. That was on your mother's side?
Yeah.
Okay. So your father's side, any good food on that side of the family?
Yeah, French Canadian. So holidays there'd be, meat pies and kind of fun stuff like that. Not as big in bold flavors as the Italian side, but there was definitely, you could see that French Canadian influence there, with the holidays and things like that. But I kind of took most of the culinary stuff for the Italian side.
I'm going to throw you, because Thanksgiving's coming up, any favorite Thanksgiving tips or sides that you do? So I'm just going to say Thanksgiving. You can answer whatever you want.
Sure. I mean, the biggest thing, the star of the show is the turkey, right? People are so scared to cook that turkey. And I tell them, start it early, slow and low, and just keep it very low and roast it, because you can always cook it more and you can never, once it's dry and overcooked, you're done. So just take your time and don't, be so worried about that little thing popping up. Get up at 6 in the morning, prep it, get it in there, nice, slow and low. And then as you're doing everything else, let that kind of slowly roast. And once you do that a couple times, like I've done it millions of times, but you'll take that big thing off your plate and not have to worry about that. So slow and low. As far as sides, I love the classics: mashed potatoes and gravy, the stuffing. Um, Obviously, the pies are huge: the pumpkin, the apple, the cherry, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to myself eating, I love the simple things, 4 or 5 ingredients done really well. So yeah, I mean, a traditional Thanksgiving, and really, if I could tell people not to stress out and have fun with it. It's easy for me to say because I know what I'm doing, but really make it fun and prep, the night before, chop the potatoes, put them in water, do everything you can the night before. So when people show up, you're like halfway there, ready to go and start firing things. So it's all in the prep and then have fun with it.
The I have a strange question for you, because when I have a guest on, I sort of go through their Instagram and their Facebook, LinkedIn. I just don't want to be real superficial, and I want to get to know you. But I'm really, really curious because I couldn't make it out. There was a picture of you like this, and you have a tattoo here, and I couldn't make out whether it was a lobster or an elephant.
This one here, or this one here. That's an
That
elephant.
one.
Yeah,
Oh, it isn't. Okay.
an elephant. See that? That is. Not to get too personal, but when my wife and I were trying to have kids, we had a bit of a struggle with our first one. And elephant is a sign of fertility and happiness and joy. So she has a little one on her arm, and in a show of solidarity, I did this without her knowing, and then showed it to her. So it worked. We have 3 little now.
Well, luckily things worked out, all three. Terrific. So 2 boys, 1 girl, or
2
what's the
girls and a
mix?
boy at home. Yep,
Oh, okay. So you got 2 daddy's little girls. Okay.
that's right.
Um, I saw that you did a segment about favorite sandwich. Um, and I think somebody said on that video about the sandwich, and it's true for all food. And sometimes when somebody else makes it, it tastes better.
Sure.
Example, I remember my mother being on the couch eating a simple salami sandwich on challah with a little mustard. That was the best sandwich. She says, "You want me to make you one?" I go, "Yeah."
Yep.
Uh, and sometimes it's who makes it for you. And I want to go back to the Italian dinners, the Sunday suppers,
Yep.
and you eat, you drink, you talk. 3 hours have gone by, and you go back to eating again.
Sure.
More pasta, any pasta left over. Um, there's so much here. I want to tell people that it's coming up, that the website is chefkevd.com. You can check his Facebook. You can check his Instagram. The Facebook is Chef Kev D. The Instagram is Chef Kev D1. But all that is linked into the website. So please check it out, and you can find out if Kev's going to be in your area. I surely wouldn't want to miss an event that was around here. That's for sure. I just want to make sure. I have so many notes here. Okay, we've covered what's coming up for you. Let's go to my final 5 questions.
Okay.
You know they're coming. I hope you're prepared. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Excuse me. My 18-year-old self, I would say, don't waste time. So obviously we know time is precious and it's the biggest commodity that we have. And I don't think I'm unique in this, but a lot of young line cook chefs in the first 10 years of their career are just kind of flying by the seat of their pants and, getting into the whole lifestyle of being in restaurants. So if I could tell my younger self, don't waste time, meaning get more focused earlier. I feel like I've done so much in the last 20 years with that first 10 years of being in restaurants. And I did soak up a lot and move from restaurant to restaurant and hone my craft, but I could have streamlined that a lot more and been, a lot more focused. But who's that focused at 21, 18? But that's a big one. Time is the most important thing we have. So focus and do your thing.
Make your best. Okay. What's the best bite you've had all week?
Best bite. I was in New York City at a place, at a steakhouse called Hawksmoor, New York City, and I had a ribeye, medium with a side of mac and cheese, and it was just the most perfect thing that I've had all week. And that was after the event in New York City, so it was a long night, and I got to sit with a couple friends and have a steak, and that was the perfect ribeye.
I like a good ribeye. I'm really not a tenderloin fan. I actually like the fat on the meat. So
Sure.
a
I'll do a
ribeye,
tenderloin if I know I'm going to be at a festival and eating and drinking a lot of stuff, and I don't want to get kind of overstuffed. I may do a fillet, but 9 times out of 10, it's a ribeye or a short rib.
okay. All right. But you're at the gym. What do you do? Are you running? What do you do at the gym to burn this off?
So I've started working out with the owner of my gym, who's also a trainer. So it works for me at a place called Fortify in Rhode Island, and it's a lot of core stuff, a lot of breathing stuff that I haven't really done. I was always the arms and chest and do some cardio and do that kind of thing. This is the first 20 minutes of this workout. We're just kind of working on breathing and getting our ribs down and our form right and all that, and then doing a complete body workout now.
Okay. Just being plain nosy. 2 musts that you have to have in the fridge.
2 musts in the fridge. One of them is butter. I cook with a lot of butter. Never too much butter. And the second one would be, oh boy, I want to say a good bottle of wine. So it's an important thing. The pairings these days, and it's become such a big part of what I do, and pairing wines with food and kind of making them come together, and just because I've worked on food for so many years, now to have this other element where we can kind of take it up a notch and bring in these other flavors and marry them, and they think, well, maybe I wouldn't have paired that, but it goes really well together, or they play off each other. So, butter and a good bottle of wine, you can start the night off right.
Well, that sounds good to me. Um, Now, I know there's only been one. What was that ultimate culinary fail?
Oh boy. Well, you know what? I say this in my speech, especially to the school I just did. Every failure, you got to take what you can from it and learn from it. So, it would go back to your first question was, and I say wasting those 10 years, it wasn't really a waste. It got me where I am. But if you could just focus more, cut on all the crap and the noise and focus and do your thing, not so much a fail. Um, you know, doing the offsite stuff, so many things happen. I can show up and the food could be wrong. A bride wanted fillets and I got a New York strip, or all these things, and I have to be able to think on the fly and say, I got a buddy with a restaurant, or we're doing a different dish. So I'm very good at coming up with solutions. So to find like an epic fail, I've done pretty well throughout my career to kind of turn things around always.
Terrific, terrific. If you could wake up tomorrow with a new talent, what would it be?
Well, my wife and kids would say a singing voice, because I love to sing, but I do not have a great voice at all. It's rough because the girls in my family are singing all the time and they sound amazing, and then I chime in and they all just laugh at me. So I would love to be able to carry a tune.
Okay. I've told people my story, so I'm not going to reiterate it about singing, but I do sing in the aqua class. They play the oldies, and I figure I don't care. I got water, I got echoes. It's got to be better.
Go with
So
it.
I sing along. And finally, what didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
What did you not ask me that you probably should have?
Or is there anything you want people to know about you that I probably didn't cover as thoroughly as I should?
That's a great question. I'll tell you the one thing that you didn't ask me that everybody asks me. I talk to my chef friends about this all the time. The number one question that we get all the time is, what's your favorite thing to cook? And I'm glad you didn't ask me that, because I don't have one favorite thing to cook. It's something new all the time. It's new like we talked about. It's different produce and different meats. And when you're in different parts of the country, you get all kinds of different flavors and things like that. So don't ask a chef what his favorite thing to cook is, because it's going to be a generic answer, or they're not going to want to answer you that. Otherwise, go ahead.
Or you respond back. It's like people, and what I do, they go, "What's your favorite restaurant?" I said, "What's yours?"
Yeah.
I just turn it around, because I think what you like to cook today, I'm a moody eater. Um, I don't know what I want for dinner until I open the fridge.
Right.
Uh, so uh, I've just dim summed out. I was in Florida. We went from Jacksonville, drove to Orlando, and did a dim sum run. That's all we did. We went from one dim sum place to the next. And then we had dim sum yesterday before I got on the plane. So I don't need to see dim sum anymore, but it was a favorite thing of mine.
And it's ever changing. It's always changing. It's like chefs these days. Not everybody has to be a fine dining chef. You could be Eric Ripert, or you could be Guy Fieri. Different styles, both great at what they do, but very different. So I could be in the mood for a halibut crudo one day, and I could be in the mood for nachos the next day. And it's just like, what do you feel like? What's the event? What are we doing? So it's ever changing.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you sharing your time. Wish you the best Thanksgiving with your family, and enjoy your turkey. And I want to remind people, it is up in the comments. Everything you want to know about Chef Kev D is on chefkevd.com. And you can follow his link to his Facebook page, to Instagram. I do those because I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Threads. There's only so many social medias you can be on, but everything you need to know is there. Kev, the best of the holiday seasons, best wishes for continued success and growth.
Thank you very much, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well, and everybody out there.
All right. Thank you, Kev. Okay, everyone. Let me get my notes, because I'm a senior and I can't trust myself without the notes. Always feel free to reach out to me via email. My email is food@jmoreliving.com, or at Dara Cooks is the Instagram. And on Facebook, I do have a page called the Food Enthusiast, so you can follow there. I want to wish you all a fulfilling and filling Thanksgiving. I will be busy cooking, so no show next week. In 2 weeks, our guest will be Chef and Spice Master Lior Lev Sarkars, owner and founder of global spice brand Le Botte. I hope I'm saying it correctly. We'll find out in 2 weeks. He is also a four-time award-winning author and owner of the celebrated New York City shawarma shop Spice Brothers. Reminder, you all can sign up for the J More Living This Week in Baltimore Eating newsletter. It comes out on Tuesdays. You go to jmoreliving.com, go up to the menu where it says connect, and you'll see where you can sign up for the This Week in Baltimore Eating newsletter. It's got recipes, it's got links to the show, and other food stories for the area that would be of interest to you. All our shows are immediately archived in video form on JMOR's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. Feel free to go back into our archives and enjoy past shows. Happy Thanksgiving again. May your plates always remain full. See you in 2 weeks.